Hello, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading. For those of you tuning in for the first time, thank you for tuning into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we discuss current financial and economic events, some of the changing landscape and horizon that we have in our financial markets and economy today. I have joining me my co-host, Chris Agelastos. Chris, how are you?
Great, thank you. Good to see you as always.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I mean it too.
That's also very kind. Well, it's a pleasure having you here. And I know that, we're kind of wrapping up getting close to the end of 2023. There's been a lot that we've been discussing. And, I think in one of our earlier podcasts, we talked about how the issues of today seem to be things that were unthinkable 20 years ago. But what's crazy as well is just how quickly things are moving and changing, and unfortunately not all of it in a good direction. In fact, a lot of it not in a good direction. So getting right into it, Chris, we've been talking a lot in recent podcasts about what's going on around us with banks and really our whole banking system. Mm-hmm. The confidence people have in our banking system right now is doing nothing short of literally plummeting. And evidence of this can be seen in a recent article that we discussed about how, the BBB's number one complaint they're receiving right now is in reference to or about banks and the serious problems people have been having or running into with their accounts, along with other challenges they've been having, trying to access their money, like their own money. Yeah. The title of this article on your screen now, for those of you viewing, and if you're listening, as always, you can find the link there in the description, is becoming more and more accurate by the day. The title, "The Entire Banking System is Shaking." There have been a ton of bank closures over the last several months. It's actually becoming quite the common thing. And, the positive spin that you'll hear is that it's due to, improved electronic services, and the need for these branches has thus been reduced. However, the underlying reality is banks are losing a lot of money. Yeah. And these moves are to save money as they're trying to stop the bleeding. Yep. A major concern that we hear, and I know, Chris, you and I have talked about this from our customers or people calling in for some of our materials, is that this is all happening at a time where there are banks that have and are literally failing, closing their doors. Yeah. So that being said, do you think the banks can or are capable of reversing this trend? Because it seems like it is a trend.
Yeah. No, unfortunately not. It isn't just one problem that the banks are having to deal with here. I mean, as the article said, the banks are sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars in losses. That's a lot of money for anyone, right? Even the big banks. So what are they going to do? They're cutting costs and closing branches, doing layoffs. They said in this article, 64 branches, I think it was, last week alone that closed, averaging over 3,300 branches a year. So when you say picking up speed, right? I mean, that's really what's happening here. It's accelerating. And this is not, some small local bank that's dealing with this, right? Names like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Citizens Bank, et cetera, right? These are major players. And so, add these existing issues, and then put on top of that, home sales are plunging. Obviously, I'm sure most people are aware, the average mortgage rate is somewhere in the 7 to 8% range now, which, add to that, the house prices are so expensive. Even if the rates were 4%, a lot of people can't afford it, but they certainly can't afford it at 7 and 8. Commercial building delinquencies, I think everybody knows since COVID, right? A lot less people go into the mall. A lot of companies have remote workers. So you've got, just an enormous amount of commercial buildings and real estate that is just sitting there. This year alone, year to date, the commercial building delinquencies have increased by 50%, not
Wow.
5%, right? 50%. So, I think the banks have been kicking the can down the road for a while, and they're lucky, quite honestly, that they've been able to make it this far. But with everything going on, I don't see how they're going to make it much further.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's just a lot of bad seed that unfortunately is littered in their garden. And you
Yeah,
know, that being said, I mean, the foundation, the bad foundation is already there, which that is going to be the kind of the cornerstone of ushering in these problems that sound to be pretty severe, in all honesty. So,
yeah,
to taking a little further look into some of the quote why behind depositors are losing confidence in banks. Um, it can be found or seen in this next article on your screen. Again, this song has become all too familiar in banking news, Chris. A song that everyone would say has been played out at this point.
hmm,
Highlighted in this article is an elderly woman who has multiple accounts with the same bank. In one of the accounts, she had money deposited, or some might say, quote, invested with
yeah,
proceeds from a home sale. Now, the bank seized $130,000 from her account because they deemed that account was inactive as she wasn't using the funds.
yeah.
So, I mean, isn't one of the functions of a bank that it's a place to put money that you don't need or you want to save for an undefined future purpose?
Yeah.
I mean, this has been happening more and more across the country. If you can't keep your money in banks, where can or where should you keep it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this is why obviously our clients, are running to us for precious metals. I mean, just imagine, the whole adage, right? You're supposed to save for a rainy day. Well, this lady, sells a property, puts her money in the bank, saving it for a rainy day when she needs it, right? Doesn't want to go put it in the stock market, be aggressive with it, be conservative, and now she's got to fight with the bank, basically catch them taking the money, then jump through all the steps to have people assist her in proving that it is her money and to get it back. So this is bottom line. This is why people want gold and silver. They're looking for
Right.
security, and right now in the banking system, there's a lot of insecurity. Right, where we're learning that maybe the banks aren't as trustworthy as they want us to think they are. Maybe they don't actually have our best interest in mind. And so people want something that is time tested and proven. And they want to know that when that rainy day comes, they're going to have something to go to. So when it comes to physical gold and silver and something that has been around for quite literally thousands of years as money, even our governments and central banks know this is the case. They buy it, they hold it. Why? For their stability.
Right.
People want to take back some control, and they want to have a say in what they spend their money on and how they spend it. And they want to know, most importantly, that it's going to be there when they need it. And I think they're realizing in order to really have that kind of assurance, you kind of have to take things into your own hands a little bit. Obviously, you're still going to have to use the banks to some extent. I'm going to pay my electric bill through my checking account. I'm not walking down there per se with my gold and silver. But if for any reason I can't access my bank account, or my bank decides my account is inactive and takes my money, I like knowing that I can turn my coin into cash and quickly take care of any needs that arise. And I think people are
Sure.
just tired of relying on a system that has continually let them down, and they're tired of asking for permission to access their own money. I mean, it's
Right.
it's it's really ridiculous.
Well, and the referencing the first article that we discussed and how several branches have been closing. Um, then you hear stories like this, which there is no shortage of anymore, where people's money is just disappearing out of their account for a plethora of different reasons.
Yeah.
Problem being is, and I don't know about you, but I know you pretty well, and you and I talk quite a bit. If I encountered a problem like this elderly woman did, where my bank, I had money sitting in the bank and all of a sudden it was just gone, I would prefer to be able to walk into my branch and get face to face with somebody until we figured out where that money is. Whereas like now, what's a person to do? Like they don't have that brick and mortar branch anymore. So now they've got to get on a chat line with somebody and see where that goes, or they have to call a toll-free number, which, you know, who knows, is that even going to be somebody in the United States, or is that going to be somebody in India? I mean, it really is the reason that people are losing confidence so quickly is because they have every right to. I mean, there is seemingly no absolutes there any longer, and truly a change. I mean, again, banks were looked upon as being the safe place to put your money, and again, money that you maybe you need for current purposes, or you don't need for current purposes, but it was there for you as you need it, and that entire thing has changed over the last year, really a lot. I mean, this year has been a radical year for banking. So
bad year for the banks.
Bad year for the banks indeed. And I got to tell you, I know you and I read a lot of the same things, and it's not looking too promising for the year ahead either. In fact, some would say it's actually going to be worse. So I don't know if that's possible, but thank you for that, Chris. And thanks for sharing as always. And as we always mention, if you enjoy this podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe. Also follow us on social media if you're not already, and leave us some comments to let us know your thoughts about what you see happening in your world around you. This is Dean Heskin. I've been here with Chris Agelastos. We look forward to talking with you more in the future as we finish out 2023 and we head into 2024, looking at and talking about what's taking shape in our financial markets and the economy around us. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.